I predict that there will be a U.S. Civil War and Trump will get a third term. There are things that are unconventional and immoral and wrong and evil and dangerous. And there are certain things that are illegal. Trump getting a third term is not illegal. So let me explain the loophole. What Trump could do is this, okay? There are two possibilities. The first possibility is in 2028, he has his son, Don Jr., run as the president, and he runs as the vice president. And then when Don Jr. wins, if he wins, then Don Jr. could abdicate and Trump would be the president. If you read the Constitution very carefully, it doesn't actually prohibit people from doing that. Another possibility is that by 2028, America is at war with everyone. There's a national draft. The president now has emergency war powers. And so he can actually suspend the Constitution and delay the election, which is what Zelensky did in Ukraine. So these are two different possibilities. I think that given Trump's track record, given his personality, I think he very much wants a third term. And I think that he will do everything possible to get a third term. This is a man who eats McDonald's hamburgers every day. He doesn't really work out. Yet, on the campaign trail, he's able to go to 2 rallies a day. And he will talk on and on and on. Then, at night, when he should be sleeping, he's either on Truth Social, tweeting about the world, or he's calling up reporters and telling him some confidential information that he really shouldn't be discussing with the media. This is a man who is addicted to attention. This is a man who loves the spotlight. He's lived all his life in the spotlight. For him, death is to be ignored. So given his personality, he would rather die in office than live peacefully somewhere else. I actually think that given his narcissism, he would prefer the first strategy because that shows himself in the world that America loves him. I think there's a possibility that they figure out how to cheat in 2028. Let's go into Trump's mind, all right? His psychology. In his mind, he won in 2020. The people voted for him. But the Democrats stole the election with mail-in ballots and by rigging the election machines. In his mind, he literally believes that. So in his mind, he believes that this is actually his third term and the people and the government, they owe him a second term, which is what he wants now. He wants compensation for having the election stolen from him in 2020. So again, this is a prediction, and it is a test of the validity of my theoretical framework. The point is, there's nothing explicit in the Constitution that bars someone from having a third term. And there's debate in the legal community about the spirit of the 22nd Amendment. Trump appointed 3 of the 9 justices, and there's a possibility he gets a 4th later in the year. So it's entirely up to the Supreme Court whether or not he can run. Again, there's something explicit in the Constitution that forbids him from running as the vice president. My second prediction is there will be a grand bargain between the United States and China. It means that people expect that the United States and China will go to war at some point over Taiwan. A lot of people expect that China wants to challenge American hegemony and replace America as the global superpower. But China does not want to do that. So what China is going to do is try to triangulate between Russia and the United States. This is what happened during the Cold War. When China was not actually on the side of the Soviet Union, China was part of the non-aligned community. And that's what China is going to strive for in World War III, where China may help out Iran, may provide financing for Russia, but it's also going to strike deals with the United States as well. I think that Trump and President Xi are supposed to meet at least 3 times, possibly 4 times this year. The first will be in mid-May in Beijing. And I think that they will start a process in which China and America come to an arrangement that benefits both economically. America wants China to continue to buy US treasuries in order to finance the American debt. What does China want? China wants energy, resources from the Western Hemisphere, and it wants to access the American market. So there's no reason why China and America cannot come to an arrangement that benefits both. Trump is very much a transactional character. It means that China is not really part of World War III in a meaningful way. China will be friends with both Russia and the United States as Russia and the United States fight each other. Iran is another forever war, and the United States will institute a national draft. So the logic is this. America doesn't really care if Iran is defeated or not. That's not really part of the American grand strategy. Iran right now is a perfect pretext for America to expand outwards and establish maritime choke points around the world and to force the world to buy American energy. So this war in Iran benefits America tremendously. So why not have it go on for a long, long time? In order to make sure this war goes on for a long time, you need ground troops. And you need a lot of ground troops. And that's why you need a national draft. So most people don't appreciate this, but America has always had a draft. But for the longest time, it didn't really care whether or not you actually signed for the draft. And starting in December, participation in the draft will be automatic, meaning that you're between 18 to 24 in America and you're male, you'll be automatically put into the draft system. And this created a lot of backlash during the Vietnam era. And so they sort of toned it down. But starting in December, they just passed a law that says that starting in December, you will be automatically registered. Okay, this is pretty bad. The world will move towards an AI surveillance state. I think it's pretty obvious. So the average person, it means two things. It means digital ID and digital currency. What that will allow is for the government to basically monitor everything you do online and control all financial transactions. It can basically program your bank account so like you can't buy cigarettes or you can't buy drugs. And this will allow the government to basically categorize everyone and put everyone into a certain database to monitor that person. And once you're able to categorize everyone, then you are able to use AI to predict their behavior. This is what goes on in China. And that's how I know about this. Well, in China, we all have digital ID. If you want to access anything in China, you need your digital ID. So if you want to open a bank account, you have to use a digital ID. If you want to use any e-payments, you have to use digital ID. If you want to use a phone, you have to use digital ID. So everyone's part of this national database. And then what this allows government to do is basically monitor everything you do. Because depending on how you buy things, I can then extrapolate to figure out your behavior. And then I can figure out your thinking. And then I can create incentives in order to guide and control your behavior. Everything you do online is being recorded and it's being inputted into the database to figure out who you are, what you want, and how to control you. And they think this is progress, by the way, because I'm making you a better person, right? I'm helping you achieve your dream. I'm helping you lose weight. I'm helping you work harder. Israel will achieve the Greater Israel Project. Israel has essentially already conquered the Middle East. The only force in their way right now is America. So once America leaves the Middle East, which I expect to happen, then Israel will absorb CENTCOM, which is the Central Command, the American military bases in the Middle East, and they'll achieve the Greater Israel Project. There's no other power in the Middle East that can withstand the might and power of Israel.